In this lesson, we'll be adding 2 CMU elevator shafts. The objective of this lesson is to venture into the building and model some masonry walls to house 2 elevator shafts. We're also going to explore some methods to ensure accuracy and make edits to walls that are drawn improperly. Open the file you've been working on, or open the file called Chapter 3 and follow along. If you look at my example, here's what we're going to have when we're done. We're going to have some CMU elevator shafts. We're going to have some walls. We're going to have some beveled corners. We're going to have some bathroom layouts. If you see from the top view, we're going to have a corridor and a corridor. Okay, let's get started. Zoom in on this area right here. What we're going to do is we're going to put in a U-shaped CMU elevator shaft. To do that, let's go to the Architecture tab. Let's click on Wall. This time, let's change the type of wall we're adding. Remember the properties, the Type Selector dropdown. We can come down and select any type of wall we want. Let's scroll down and select Generic 8-inch Masonry. Let's zoom into this corner and place it right on the edge of this wall. Of course, it's going in the wrong direction, so hit your spacebar to flip it inward. Move your cursor downward and type in 12 and hit Enter. This will be 12 feet deep. Notice that right when Revit draws it, it puts in the CMU hatching. Let's move in this direction. Let's type in 10 and hit Enter. Let's move straight up in this direction and go perpendicular, vertical and nearest to the wall. Hit Escape a couple times. Notice how Revit joins walls of different types. They're joined together, but still there's a little line in there because that's exactly how it's going to get built. Click Escape a couple times to get out of the command, or click the Modify button. Call me a stickler for detail, but I like to check the walls after I put them in. Let's look at another function called temporary dimensions that Revit provides for you. Go ahead and select the inside wall. Notice that we have a temporary dimension that shows up at 9 1/4 inches. What I'm interested in is what the clear dimension is on the inside, because we have to fit an elevator in there at some point. What you'll see on the dimension are 2 little blue grips. If you hover over, it says Move Witness Line. I'm going to select this line right here and pick it and hold down the pick button. I'm going to attempt to move it to the inside face. Revit by default prefers the dimension to centerline. We don't really want the centerline in this case, so what we're going to do is we're going to move our cursor up here and we're going to hit the Tab key, and it's going to jump to the inside face of the wall. Once that occurs, let go of your mouse button. Revit's now dimensioned to the inside face of the wall. Now that we can see our dimension, we see that it's pretty screwy. We don't want that dimension. The thing is, we have this wall selected. What's really nice about Revit is all you got to do is click into that dimension. Notice you're in that field. Type in 10 and hit Enter. Revit's going to move the wall over pursuant to what you just typed into the dialog. If you hit Escape a couple times, that dimension's gone. Now that I think about it, I don't really want Revit to dimension to the center lines of the walls. I'd rather dimension to the inside face or the outside face like we just did. We can change that. If you go to the Manage tab, right here you'll see a little icon that says Additional Settings. Go ahead and click this drop down here and come all the way down to where it says Temporary Dimensions. Now for walls, why don't we select Faces? Doors and windows, we can still go to center lines. The difference is, the walls with the center lines is going to be immediately in the center of the wall. And if we pick Center of Core, this is considered the core, the main part of the wall, so it's going to dimension to that. If we go Faces of Core, it's going to actually dimension to the face, inside the gypsum, but not the finished face. What we want are faces. That's considered to be the finished face, the actual face you can walk up to and touch. For doors and windows, we want center lines checked on, because that's typically how people will lay a door or window out, based on the center line. Click OK. Let's do the same thing to the wall in the south here. I'm never sure if it's the right dimension, so go ahead and select it, and of course, it's not. All you need to do at this point is click into here and type in 12 and hit Enter. One really cool thing about Revit is, once you see this temporary dimension light up, you see this little dimension icon. That's called Make This Temporary Dimension Permanent. Go ahead and click that icon and click off of the wall. You'll see 12 feet in there as a permanent dimension now. If I hover over this and select it, I can actually physically hold down my Move button and move it out from the wall. Hit Escape a couple times to clear out of any command. One last thing we need to do is put a wall in here to form a chase for electrical conduit. What I'd like to do is go ahead and select this wall, right-click, and create Similar. This time on the Draw panel, I want to click on Pick Lines, and I want to set the offset for 10 feet. I'm going to come down and select this wall. What I want to do is pick the inside face. Once we see the temporary reference line show up above it, go ahead and pick that wall and then hit escape. What I want to do now is make sure we have a clear 10 feet in here. Go ahead and select this wall, and of course we don't. But luckily our dimensions are going right to the inside face. So for 9 foot 4 3/8, go ahead and type 10 and hit enter. Now we have a square 10-foot opening. What I'd like to do now is mirror these walls to the other side. We want to have the same elevator chase down here. So holding down your control key, select this wall, this wall, this wall, and this wall. The Modify Walls tab shows up. On the Modify tab, click on Mirror Pick Axis. Zoom out a little bit so you can see everything, and go ahead and pick this handy-dandy center line. Hit escape a couple times. Now your elevator shafts are modeled in. Now that the CMU walls are in, we're getting a good understanding of other wall placement methods and methods of checks and balances.